Hey there, welcome back to yet another video on this channel. This video is dedicated to many of you who have been requesting me kindly to make a video on this particular topic. The topic of evaluating patentability of an invention in light of few references. So how this topic was decided? One reason being there was a question in last year's patent agent examination 2024 where an invention was given and candidates were asked to draft a response basically to differentiate or establish patentability of the invention in light of couple of references that were provided. So even without that question, in our industry, having the skill or having the concepts to establish patentability or evaluate patentability of an invention is a very critical skill. It's a very useful skill. So regardless of the exam, we should know how to approach it. So in this session, we will tackle this question or this use case in our own way, in our own approach. What is that? We first understand the concepts of it. What are we doing and why are we doing? And once we have answers for that, we will go about how do we do it. So with that, let's get into the session. Before we go any further in this session, we should ask ourselves a couple of questions. On what basis do we say whether an invention is patentable or not? Do you recall section 2, which talks about novelty, inventive step, and new invention? Can you define them? Let's quickly go through it. So as per section 2J, an invention is a new process or product which involves an inventive step and which is capable of industrial application. Now, it says new, it means novel. It is different from existing art. What about inventive step? So it's a feature of the invention which provides a technical advancement or which provides some sort of economic significance or both, and which is non-obvious to a person skilled in the art. Any feature that can make the invention technically superior to the existing solutions. It can make it efficient, it can make it perform well, or it can have better therapeutic efficacy in cases of pharma, and any other performance parameters it should be better at. And of course, it should not be published in the public domain, available in the public domain, used in the public domain before the filing date of the invention. With some clarity on the parameters that needs to be there for evaluating an invention, let's start the session. The first thing before we do such an activity is to understand the invention or to read the invention disclosure, or in terms of exam, to read the question or to decode the question. So how do we do it? So I have created a framework to guide you to break down the question so that you are able to get all the relevant information which is required for you to evaluate your invention in light of the references which are given to you. So first always is to understand what is the objective of the invention. The invention will always be given to you as a system for doing something, a method for doing something. For that doing something is nothing but the end objective. Now, how does it help? Basically, you are able to picturize what your system is and how the components of your system are working together to achieve that objective. So the first step beyond this step is to identify or to list down all the components which are mentioned in the invention disclosure or in the question paper. While you read down the components, you will realize that few of the components are common for such a system, or few of the steps are common for such a method steps. You will also find a few components which are written in a manner which feels like they are improved version of the previous components or existing components, or which are new components altogether. Moving on, you will also realize that implementation details or specific roles are provided for each of these components. A few of the components would be common, the roles will be common, but for few of the components they will talk a little bit more or they will provide a bit more information. That information could be what kind of material is used, what kind of parameter ranges are provided, how is that particular component is constructed, or what are the dimensions for that component, or what are the arrangements of these components together. So you should also keep in mind any extra implementation details or any specific implementation details or any specific role or functionality that has been provided for a given component, because that tells you that the inventor is really critical about that particular component. Hence, it is providing a lot of implementation details. Similarly, there will be few sentences, there will be some direct, indirect information which says that how this particular system is better. They may directly say that it improves something, or indirectly they also may say something which says that okay, this is how the system is improved, or this, because of this the system may perform better. So these are the technical advancements that are directly given to you, isn't it? So this is how we read our invention, where we have the list of components, their functionality, any specific implementations, and we have also derived how the system is providing technical advancement to the existing solutions. Moving on, we need to read the references also, almost in the similar manner, but let's go about it. So again, the references which would be given to you would ideally be in the same domain, maybe doing a part of the objective that was there. Here also we identify for each reference what all components are out there and what all components are missing from the components that we identified for our invention. Here also we see if the implementation details have been provided for few components and how these implementation details are different from the implementation details which were there for our invention. In fact, if there is an overlap of component, there will be overlap of implementation. If not, that becomes our novelty. And if the overlap is there and overlap of implementation is also there, then we got to have some other components which are not here, which are only unique to our system, and because of which we become novel in light of this particular reference. We also need to see whether are they even talking about a problem statement or some sort of improvement that our invention was aiming for. This is usually used to see whether two inventions can be combined together, two references can be combined together to come up with our invention. It may sound a bit tedious and technical and complex right now, but it is not. Once we have the examples in front of us, things becomes very simple. So don't worry about it. So it's all good. We have gone through our invention, we have gone through the references also. But how do we write? So in our way, how do we code the answer? Let's go about it. So the first step is to write your understanding of the invention. And you should write in a manner so that you define the objective, you identify components which are unique, and you tie them with an improvement or any functionality that is peculiar to your invention, right? How do we do it? This is how it is, a template basically. The present invention relates to objective, we say comprising. You write components 1, 2, 3, different sentences, and you define the roles. And you can also categorically identify what is the key feature of your invention. It would say, as in you would be able to derive the key feature, the key improvement, the key technical advancement of your invention. If you are able to, you should be able to write it. And once you have done it, we go with establishing the patentability. Now, how do we do it? The first step is to determine the novelty of your invention. Your invention has to be novel. It has to be new invention, isn't it? So how do we do it? So the way we do it is we write a statement saying that the invention is novel over D1 and D2. D1 and D2 are nothing but the two or many references that have been provided to you. And the way we do it is we identify all the components, all the features which were not part of D1 or which were not part of D2. Because if we are able to differentiate it, we are able to identify the differences, then we are good. So the way to do it is, of course, we write D1 is directed towards, here also you write objective, and you may say it comprises this, but the most important part is to write this particular sentence which says, however, it doesn't disclose. Now what? One component that you identify, one feature that you identify, or one objective or one problem statement that they were able to solve because of a particular component, you write that. If there are multiple such components, you say further it also doesn't, and you can write many more, like additionally it also doesn't. So what you have done is you have differentiated between your invention and this invention in terms of what is not there in D1, right? Similarly, you need to repeat D2 also. And once you have differentiated both D1 and D2, we have established novelty of it. But this isn't the end of it. We need to establish the inventive aspect of the invention also, the technical advancement of your invention over D1 and D2, because combining D1 and D2 may make your invention obvious. So we need to identify any technical feature that is not available in D1 and D2 also. So we go to the third part of our answer, which is inventive aspect. So here we categorically again write, going back to our invention, which says that the invention involves inventive step because. So we say the present invention solves a problem by components feature set. See, this is just a template, but when you see an example, you will be able to relate to it, that what is the problem that my invention is solving, or what is the solution that my invention is provided, and how that solution has come about to be because of the components, because of the features. And once we have written that, we again go and attack D1 and D2 by saying that D1 is talking about it, but D1 doesn't have this component, doesn't have this feature, and cannot solve this problem, right? Similarly, you write D2. And then we end this by saying that neither D1 or D2 alone or in combination provides a solution or feature that my invention is providing. So with this, we were able to establish the novelty and inventive step of our invention and were able to overcome the objections. But there could be few scenarios where section 3 basis objection could also be raised. Section 3 categorically talks about inventions which are not patent eligible, right? So what do? So you try to identify features of your invention or any aspect of your invention because of which it can overcome the limiting language of section 3, any subsections. For example, if section 3D based objections have been raised, so what you say that your invention has therapeutic efficacy, hence section 3D is not applicable. Similarly, in case of section 3E, which talks about mere admixture of components, so you specifically talk about synergistic impact or synergistic effect of such combination of these components, because of which your invention is not under the purview of section 3E. And then comes section 3K, which talks about software or computer based inventions. In such cases also you say that because there is a technical effect or technical advancement, technical problem, technical solution, therefore it doesn't come under the purview of section 3K as well. So this is how you can take care of novelty, inventive step and section 3 based rejections also. Now is the time to go over a few examples from last year's patent agent exam and see how much have we learned and how much can we write. Shuru kare? Yeah. So this is the first question that was there. So you see an invention is given and disclosures are given, D1 and D2, which seems to be talking around the same as our invention. So the first step is to understand the invention. Do you want to do it on your own or you want to follow the video? Whichever way, you can pause and come back again. So let's review the invention, or let's understand the invention. How do we do it? We identify a component, we identify functionality, we identify if there is some specific technical advancement has been given out, just like that. So let's do it on our invention first. So I have underlined a few elements. So the objective of the machine is a coffee making machine. So that's the objective. Now, how do they do it? So there is one heating element. There is a second chamber, which is restricted by a flow restriction device, another component, and specific feature of that is which controls the rate of the liquid flow. And then there is a cup also they have provided. It could be stainless steel or it could be glass. Then there is the heating element again coming in, which is defined by saying that it can control a high temperature and elevated pressure to rise through the delivery tube. See, heating element having some control over pressure itself. That could be, some giveaway here. And they have spoken about the flow restriction device in more detail. It says there is a rotatable plate, again another component, and they have given further implementation details of it. So we got implementation details, we got specific components, and we got specific roles also, which is controlling a high temperature, elevated pressure. So we know our invention has new components, looks like, and technical advancements as such is not coming out. But because this is coffee making machine, and because you can control temperature, you can control pressure, you can control flow restriction as well, control the rate of liquid also. All in all, I think it is improving, or I will assume that it is improving the process of coffee brewing. It is some sort of technical advancement in the field of coffee brewing. That's the assumption, because there are 6 lines of invention that is given. The second step is to understand the references also. So let's do that as well. So reading D1, it's again a beverage making machine. R was coffee making machine. This is beverage making machine. Almost the same thing. R is more specific coffee. It is beverage, which is applicable to anything. It also has a heating element. We also had a heating element. Optionally pitcher, we also had a cup, and they say optionally pitcher. So 2 elements are together. And beyond that, they have not given any implementation detail. So it's nothing basically. And pitcher, they seem to be making of clay, which doesn't make any sense as such. It's fine. But then see, between D1 and Ravi's invention, one thing that has come out clear is that Ravi's invention has many more components. The flow restriction device being one, rotatable plate being another, plurality of orifice having different diameters on the rotatable plate. So we have lot more implementation detail which is there. And in fact, heating element, as in common way, would only be used for heating. But in our case, it is given to us that heating element can control high temperature as well as elevated pressure to rise through the delivery tube, maybe to deliver the coffee there. So we know that D1 is not teaching everything that our invention has. Anyway, moving to D2. So D2 is iced tea making machine. So ours is coffee, this is iced tea. Different objective, but let's see. It also has a heating element. We also have a heating element. Holding unit and pitcher are same thing. Could be a second chamber and could be the glass. Chilling element, this is a new element that is there. We were only talking about heating, they are talking about chilling also, because it's an iced tea, right? It also discloses a method for making iced tea, system and method, where a tea bag is added to the boiling water in the heater, because heating element is there, your water will be boiled, which is then cooled and chilled. So you make hot tea and then you chill it to make iced tea. So this looks like a simple invention, as in, because all of us can visualize how coffee or tea would be made. And by giving this read, we know that there are components which are not taught by D1 and D2. So seems a straightforward one to me. So how do we write the answer? But let's go with our template. So the first will be, the present invention relates to a coffee making machine providing improved brewing performance. As I said, I am assuming it because there is elevated pressure, there is orifice, there is rotatable plate. So I'm assuming that they're controlling the flow, they're controlling how much and at what pace it goes. So we are improving brewing performance with now, and there are components, there are enhanced component, because there was this flow rate controller was there was rotatable plate, there was orifice with different dimensions, right? So we have component, and we identify the roles of the components, we identify the features of the component, right? We can write like this. So first step after this is to talk about novelty. Novelty will be simple. Why? Because we know many components which are not part of D1 and D2. Let's go. So the first line is the invention is novel over D1 and D2 because we write D1. So D1 is targeted towards brewing machine. We just say what they have said. It discloses a heating element and a pitcher. We again say what they have said. And then here is where we start attacking it, which says, however, it doesn't disclose flow restriction device. It doesn't have, right? With rotatable plate with specific orifice dimension. Further, it also doesn't teach pressure control delivery mechanism, because heating element was just mentioned. They didn't write anything about heating element. So we will write whatever is not there in that, right? Similarly, we attack D2 also. In this case, D2 is targeted towards iced tea. It discloses a heating and chilling element and a pitcher. We write what they have said. Here also, the flow control mechanism was not there, the pressure control mechanism is not there, and rotatable plate with specific orifices are not defined. So there are many components, there are many various features which are not there in D1 and D2, hence the novelty is established. The second part is to see whether can D1 and D2 be combined to kill the inventive step of our invention. How do we do it? We go like this. So here again we start by talking about our invention and the problem, or let's say any specific technical advancement that our invention has given us. So the way I would write here is the present invention provides a precise flow control, because they talk a lot about flow control, isn't it? And how they are doing it? With the help of flow control device with different dimension orifices are there, because of which we are able to control the flow. The heating element of the invention, remember they talked about heating element also, is configured to control temperature as well as pressure for control delivery through delivery tube. The pressure, elevation, remember they were talking about it. So we just made a story of it. And then from here we go and say that neither D1 or D1 recognize the importance of flow control, because they didn't talk about flow control. And flow control plays an important role in how effectively you can brew, or how nicely, let's say, you can brew your coffee. So that was not provided by it. D1 provides no teaching towards flow control. There was nothing on it, right? And D2 also doesn't provide any teaching towards heating and control pressure. So here we are not talking about the component. Here we are talking about the role that those components are playing, right? Those are the features. Those are the technical advancement. Those are the technical features which are not provided by them. So this is how your entire answer will be written. First part is your invention. Second part is the novelty. Third part is the D1 and D2. Fourth part is the inventive feature of your invention. Fifth part is your how D1 and D2 are not able to provide those technical features in combination. I hope you are able to make some sense of what I'm trying to say here. Okay. Now this is my way of doing it, but then you can identify your own technical features. You can identify your own technical enhancements, not completely tangent, but based on what the disclosure or information that is given to us, right? So let's take another example again from the last year's paper only. This is Vaishnavi's invention. So first is to understand the invention. Let's do that part. So a system to predict heavy rainfall, objective, predict heavy rainfall, comprising, now they are talking about components. So I've underlined with blue which says rain sensors attached to the wiper, very important, attached to the wiper of a vehicle. Now the sensors can communicate over communication network. It's a normal thing with an analyzing server. Okay. So it has a first detection mechanism. It's a component to detect the operational speed of the wiper, how fast the wipers are moving, the rain sensors, right? So the rain sensors are there which will give input to the first detection mechanism so that they know operational speed of the wiper. There is a second detection mechanism to gather information about the geographical location of the vehicle, where exactly the location is. So maybe some GPS based location tracking. And of course, there has to be a transmission unit to transmit the information collected by the first detection mechanism and the second detection mechanism, which is nothing but the wiper speed and the location of the vehicle, right? Now, where are we sending it? To the analyzing server, another component. Now, what does this analyzing server do? So this analyzing server actually collects such information from multiple vehicles. And once the information is acquired from multiple vehicles, it statistically, they have specifically written statistically, they have not written just analyze. So whichever extra term is there, whichever extra implementation detail is there, we should underline that. So statistically analyze and compare the data with a predetermined threshold value. Of course, there would be a threshold value beyond which a decision would be taken. So what they say is, once the data indicate that it is something beyond a threshold value, it means it is a point at which heavy rains occur. And once, so insight has been derived that, okay, I have collected all the data from all the devices from all the cars which are moving around. And based on which I have come to a conclusion that this is a point where heavy rains occur because wipers are going on, location or details are also there, and we have identified that heavy rains have occurred. Now this information is then provided to other portable terminals connected over the network. Now portable terminals could be mobiles, could be anything basically, right? So simple invention again. Let's see what the references have to talk about. So D1 talks about a windshield wiper failure detection system, something to do with wipers. So one common angle, but the objective is different. Here it's a failure detection, there it was rain detection, right? Comprising sensors attached to the wipers. One component gone. Plurality of vehicles and analyzing server, another component, same. Connected to the same sensors through a network. It's okay, networks are common. Now there is a detection unit to detect the speed information of the wiper. We also had sensor which was detecting the speed information of the wiper and geographical location of the sensor. So this is also there, all common so far. Now a transmission unit transfers the detected information to the analyzing server. Okay, so far everything is same. The analyzing server compares the collected operational information with the past information. Okay, so this is written past information. There is no statistical information and it's only one vehicle that we are talking about. And predicts a failure in wiper operation. See, this is where we are different. But again, there is a predefined threshold which is breached. So far what we have understood, sensor is there, common. Wiper is there, common. Geographical location is there, common. All these details are sent to analyzing server, which analyzes the operational data to identify some event. In our case, we were identifying event about heavy rain. In this case, we are identifying event about predicting a failure in wiper operation, wherever a threshold is breached. A notifying unit notifies, so there we were sending information to another portable unit. Here we are notifying to an administrator of a company basically. So what's happening is it's actually maintenance of wiper. Before the wiper fails, we want to send an information to a wiper company so that a proactive maintenance can happen for the wiper before the wiper fails. So there is no rain prediction here. So at least, it may become a little tricky, but then you can still talk about novelty here. The novelty is, first of all, the way in which data is analyzed. So data is analyzed there, it was analyzed using statistical analysis. Here they are just comparing with the past performance, that speed information is given, past information is there, and there is a threshold that is being breached. So we will, we can take a decision whether, or we can come to a conclusion whether wiper is going to break or wiper is going to malfunction or not, right? And we provide notification to a particular administrator of a company. So objective is different. The way the data is analyzed is also different. So two novel aspects can be combined here. And yeah, let's talk about later. Now we come to D2. Okay, a heavy rain point specifying system. A plurality of portable terminals. So this is different. We had vehicle. Here there are portable terminals, which they have talked about, mobile phones, and analyzing server there, which is common. Okay, so what's happening is the analyzing server in analyzing the messages, but from where are we getting the messages? So messages could have words like heavy rain or strong rain, which are posted on social networking services from the portable terminals. Oh, it's like status updates from people where they say, oh, it's raining here, it's raining there. And there is this analyzing server, which is kind of sniffing through all the posting which has happened from a particular location or from multiple locations. And based on the number of messages which have come from that particular location, they can conclude whether rain is happening or not. It's not a prediction whether it is raining or not, right? Okay, so what would you say? Do you have novelty as per this? Yeah, so we have differentiating aspect from D2 also. Portable terminal against vehicles, sensors against messages which is being posted on the social media. There the sensor was automatically transferring data. Here there is manual posting of messages on the social network. So enough difference in terms of what we are doing, right? And of course, number of message, and there is statistical analysis of data arrived from multiple vehicle. So novelty is there. Obviousness could be a little tricky, but let's see what can we do. So let's start with our invention. But if you want to take a pause and give it your try, you should do it. That would be a good exercise for you. So let's code our answer. First is to talk about our invention. The present invention relates to a system for predicting heavy rainfall by utilizing operational data from vehicle wipers. Nothing new. I think nothing new that we have to see. It's already written in the question paper. The system comprises, of course, we write what all is there and we say whatever has been said there, right? Let's talk about novelty. So the invention is novel over D1 and D2 because D1 is targeted towards detecting wiper failure. Our invention was detecting heavy rains, completely different objectives. D1 compares operational data with past information for maintenance purpose, right? Because they were notifying a company. D1 doesn't disclose statistical analysis for rain prediction. Further, D1's threshold is for identifying wiper failure. Our threshold was for identifying at this point heavy rain occurs, right? So objective we identified how analysis is happening. So that's the novel aspect of it. So we have not talked about technical improvements as such here, right? We have only talked about what is not there in that, right? And implementation details. D2 is targeted towards heavy rain point specification. D2 analyzes manual SNS messages containing specific words. Now, why we are talking about manual here? Because we specifically want to tell that our invention was collecting data automatically through sensors, but here people are actually posting messages, which is manual, right? So this is one differentiating aspect between the inventions. D2 observes the messages for the words and compare with the number of words which have come for that particular location, and based on that comparison it can say that okay, this is how it is heavy raining. Further, D2 also doesn't disclose performing statistical analysis. Again, we are talking about how we are doing it, right? So these are the two aspects because of which we have established the novelty of our invention. The next step is to evaluate the inventive aspect of it. Now that could be a little tricky here. Why? Because D1 talks about wiper data and D2 talks about rain related data. So using both of these, can you come up with your invention? So what could be the technical aspect that we are going to harp on? Let's see. So first we talk about the inventive step. We define the inventive step of our invention. So we categorically mention that the system is an automated system for predicting heavy rainfall through real-time monitoring of wiper operational across multiple vehicles. The system utilizes actual vehicle wiper speeds combined with location data to predict rainfall patterns, right? This is what we are doing, and this is automated system, so that's what we are doing. And there is statistical analysis also. Now, we say that D1 and D2, they alone or in combination don't teach this. But how do we justify it? So we say D1 provides no teaching towards using Viper data for weather prediction because they were focusing only on the failure of vipers. The data was used for identifying when or predicting when the vipers will fail, not for predicting when the rains will happen. And D2 takes a completely different approach because they are relying on users to post messages on social media networks to predict whether rains are happening or not, right? So when somebody were to look at D1 and D2 in isolation or in combination, they cannot think that, oh, I can collect Viper data to predict rains. So hence, our invention has inventive step. It provides technical advancements over existing art, right? Now moving to the third use case. Again, it's coming from our exam, but this is from the pharma domain. So if you don't understand it, it may be a little challenging. But then because it was simple, I picked it up. So first step is, of course, to see the inventions or read the inventions. So invention of Dr. Suryavanshi, it talks about M crystalline form of some phosphate, and it has some XRD diffraction patterns, which is useful in treatment of diabetes. Specifically talked about the use also, specifically talked about some feature also. And they again talk about improved properties, which is very useful when compared to section 3D. Section 3D looks for improvement, right? Therapeutic improvements. Now, therapeutic efficacies. Now, we need to see whether chemical, thermal, or storage or other sorts of stability can be considered as therapeutic efficacy or not. For the matter of fact, it is not considered as therapeutic efficacy, but at least they have provided some thermal stability, which we can argue basis technical advancement, that we have come up with a component which is technically advanced like this. It has some XRD diffraction patterns, and it has such stable properties as well, right? Let's read D1 and D2. In fact, before we do that, see the last line, it says, while maintaining chemical and some other stability over non-crystalline phosphate. So specifically, they have said that we are better than non-crystalline phosphate, right? D1 is a single liner. It says phosphate salt. So first one was also phosphate salt of sitagliptin, and it's crystalline hydrochloride salt. Now the crystalline salt is different. We have M crystalline, this is hydrochloride. So novelty is there because we are talking about M crystalline, they are talking about hydrochloride. So with respect to D1, we are novel because it is different. D2 talks about a dihydrochloride monohydrate salt. So it is not phosphate salt, so it is different. It also talks about different crystalline forms, but doesn't talk about specifically the crystalline form, the M crystalline form that we are talking about. It also talks about anti-diabetic activity, but then it doesn't talk about XRD diffraction patterns. So novelty, I think, is there easily. So this underline will give you some idea about what I was talking about. How do we write our answer? So we just say the present invention relates to the form of phosphate having specified XRD diffraction and improved stability properties of diabetic treatment, because this is what specifically they have mentioned. With respect to novelty, it's very simple. D1 is targeted towards some phosphate. D1 doesn't disclose the form, crystalline form. It doesn't talk about XRD pattern also, and it doesn't talk about any stability properties as well. Similarly, D2 also talks about some other salt, which is not the salt that we are talking about. It also talking about some other crystalline form, which we are not talking about, and lacks the XRD pattern and stability. Simple. Let's see how we can tackle the inventive aspect as well. So here we write what we had written, because it is M crystalline form, it is improved chemical and thermal stability upon storage and decrease hygrospeed while maintaining chemical and something stability. Sorry, I cannot pronounce them properly. So moving to D1 and D2. So D1 does not teach towards specific crystalline form for improved stability. That improved stability is actually technical advancement. D2, even though talks about different crystalline forms which may cover M crystalline form also, but then there are no suggestions as such, right? You may, that they are so broad that, different crystalline form, but they have not specifically talked about M crystalline form, which is stable, which has these diabetic activity as well. So in that case, we are technically advanced than them, right? So we have inventive step, we have novelty as well in comparison to D1 and D2. So I hope that these three examples have given you some clarity in terms of how do you actually approach this, what do you need to do, and how do you need to do it. The framework that we derived for coding our answer can support you as you substantiate the novelty and establish the inventive step of your invention in light of the references that would be provided. So what do we take out of this session? What are the takeaways? So the takeaway is, first you need to identify what makes your invention different and advanced as compared to the existing art. And if the references that they have given have any teaching towards the problem that your invention is solving. So with this, we are done with the session, and I hope you find it useful. Remember, when you attempt such questions, the information that is given both for the invention and the references is very limited. So please don't beat yourself up in unnecessary identifying the technical aspects, unnecessarily identifying the novel aspect which is not easily available with the details, right? The straightforward part is to see the components, identify if there is an overlap. If there is an overlap, identify if they have given any arrangement, rearrangement, identify if they have given any specific implementation details, any specific combinations of the components. If there is no overlap, of course, why you have new components, what is the role that they are solving. If they are solving some role, definitely they are providing some technical advancement, definitely they are solving some technical problem, and there go your technical invention or technical aspects or technical advancement, right? So with this, let's close this session, and I'll see you in next set of videos. Till then, take care and bye-bye.